The restaurant was the kind of place people chose when they wanted to be seen. Soft golden lights hung from the ceiling like captured stars, reflecting off crystal glasses and polished silverware. A piano murmured something slow and romantic in the corner. Daniel adjusted the cuff of his navy suit and checked his watch for the third time in 5 minutes. He wasn't nervous. At least, that's what he kept telling himself. Tonight was supposed to be simple. A blind date arranged by his colleague Mark, who had insisted, "She's perfect for you. Smart, funny, elegant, you'll thank me later." Daniel didn't usually agree to blind dates. As a corporate attorney, his schedule was tight and his patience even tighter. But lately, he'd felt something missing. His apartment felt too quiet. His victories at work felt hollow. Maybe Mark was right. Maybe he needed someone who would laugh at his dry jokes and sit across from him at dinner instead of across from him in a boardroom. The hostess approached with a small smile. "Your guest just arrived." Daniel stood. She walked toward him hesitantly, smoothing her dark green dress as if trying to flatten invisible wrinkles. She wasn't what he had expected. Mark had described someone tall and blonde, effortlessly glamorous. This woman was petite, her dark hair pulled into a loose bun that threatened to fall apart. She clutched her purse like a shield. Their eyes met, and for a split second she looked like she might turn around and run. "Daniel?" she asked softly. "Yes," he replied, offering a polite smile. "And you must be." She swallowed. "Sophie." Her voice trembled slightly. They sat. Silence hovered awkwardly between them as the waiter poured water. Daniel studied her carefully, not in judgment but in curiosity. There was something fragile about her, something honest. She didn't carry herself like someone used to being admired. "You look surprised," she said after a moment, managing a small smile. He chuckled lightly. "I suppose I am. Not in a bad way, just I wasn't expecting tonight to feel so mysterious." She looked down at the tablecloth, fingers tracing its embroidered edge. There was a story behind that nervousness. He could sense it. They made small talk, jobs, favorite books, music. She was a kindergarten teacher. She loved painting landscapes even though she claimed she wasn't very good at it. She spoke gently, but when she talked about her students, her eyes lit up with warmth that couldn't be faked. Daniel found himself leaning forward, listening more closely than he had intended. Halfway through the appetizers, Sophie put her fork down. "There's something I need to tell you," she said quietly. The way her hands tightened around her napkin made his chest tighten too. "I'm sorry," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I took my friend's place." Daniel blinked. "I'm not the woman you were supposed to meet tonight." The words hung between them like a fragile glass about to shatter. Daniel didn't react immediately. He simply watched her, letting her finish. "She was supposed to come," Sophie continued quickly, as if rushing before courage abandoned her. "Her name is Laura. She's the one Mark told you about. She asked me to help her pick a dress earlier and then she panicked." "Panicked?" Daniel asked calmly. "She just got out of a relationship. She said she wasn't ready. She didn't want to cancel because she felt bad. And then she looked at me and said, 'You go.'" Sophie gave a self-conscious laugh. "I told her that was insane, but she said you wouldn't even notice the difference." Daniel raised an eyebrow slightly at that. Sophie winced. "I know that sounds terrible, I shouldn't have agreed, but I did." "Why?" he asked, genuinely curious. She hesitated. "Because I haven't done anything spontaneous in years," she admitted. "My life is safe, predictable. I go to work, I go home, I paint alone in my apartment, I watch movies with my cat." She gave a small shrug. And when she said it, for a second I thought, what if I just try? Daniel felt something unexpected stir inside him. "I was going to tell you right away," she continued. "But when I saw you standing here, looking so confident and put together, I lost my nerve. I didn't want to ruin your evening." "You think telling me now ruins it?" he asked softly. "Well, doesn't it?" She braced herself for disappointment. for irritation, for him to stand up and walk away. Instead, Daniel leaned back in his chair and studied her more closely. She wasn't polished like he had imagined. She wasn't the perfect profile his colleague had described, but she was real, disarmingly real. Most people he met wore masks, carefully curated personalities designed to impress. Sophie had just confessed to impersonating someone else, yet somehow she felt more authentic than anyone he'd dated in years. "You know," Daniel said slowly, "this is the most interesting start to a date I've ever had." Her eyes widened. "You're not angry." "Should I be?" "I pretended to be someone else." "You didn't pretend very well," he said gently. "You've been you the entire time." She stared at him, confusion mixing with relief. "You could have kept the act going," he continued. "You could have played the glamorous, mysterious woman Mark described, but you didn't. You told me the truth." Sophie's shoulders relaxed slightly. "I'm sorry," she repeated softer now. "I really am." Daniel's lips curved into a slow, genuine smile. His smile said something words couldn't fully capture. "Thank you." The tension that had clung to the table dissolved like sugar in warm tea. Daniel leaned forward again. "Tell me something, Sophie." She tilted her head cautiously. "If you hadn't come tonight, what would you be doing?" She thought about it, probably in pajamas, eating pasta straight from the pot, watching a documentary I'd fall asleep halfway through. He laughed, a real laugh, unguarded. "That sounds surprisingly perfect." She smiled shyly. "It's not very glamorous." "Neither is my usual Friday night," he admitted. "Most of the time, I'm reviewing contracts or answering emails at midnight." They shared a look of mutual understanding. Two adults who had built solid, respectable lives, and somehow still felt alone inside them. "I'm glad you came," he said finally. Her breath caught, "even though I wasn't supposed to." "Especially because you weren't supposed to." She searched his face for sarcasm, but found none. "Why?" she asked quietly. Daniel considered his answer carefully. "Because you walked in here terrified," he said. "Because you told the truth when it would have been easier not to. Because when you talk about your students, your whole face changes. And because tonight feels unexpected." He paused, then added, "in a good way." Sophie's eyes shimmered slightly, though she blinked away the emotion before it could spill over. "Laura would have been easier," she said. "She's beautiful and confident and—" "Stop," he interrupted gently. "Don't compare yourself." She looked down. "I don't want easy," he continued. "Easy is predictable, easy is forgettable. I meet easy all the time." Her gaze slowly lifted back to his. "I want real." The word landed between them like something sacred. Sophie let out a shaky breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding since she walked in. "I almost didn't tell you," she confessed. "I thought you'd feel tricked." "I do feel tricked," he said lightly. Her heart dropped. "Into having a better evening than I expected." That was when she truly smiled, wide, bright, unfiltered. The waiter arrived with their main course, but neither of them rushed to eat. They talked about childhood dreams, embarrassing school stories, favorite rainy day memories. Time stretched and softened around them. At one point, Sophie asked, "Are you going to tell Mark?" Daniel smirked. "Oh, absolutely." Her eyes widened in alarm. "I'm going to thank him." She laughed, the sound ringing like a bell. When the evening finally wound down and they stepped outside into the cool night air, Sophie hugged her coat around herself. "I really am sorry," she said one last time, "for taking her place." Daniel stepped closer, just enough to close the distance without overwhelming her. "Don't apologize for choosing yourself," he said. She looked up at him, surprised by the sincerity in his tone. "You didn't take her place," he added softly. "You made your own." Silence settled between them again, but this time it felt warm. Would you, he began, then smiled at his own sudden nervousness. Would you like to go out again, as Sophie, no substitutions? Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. I'd like that, she replied. And as they stood under the streetlights, neither of them thinking about the woman who was supposed to be there, Daniel realized something simple and beautiful. Sometimes the best things in life aren't the ones planned for you. Sometimes they're the ones brave enough to show up and say, I'm sorry, and mean it. And sometimes, a smile can say thank you more honestly than words ever could.